This is Viterbi Voices, your chance to hear stories about research, classes, student life, and more.
Directly from our students, faculty, and other members of our engineering community. All right here at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome back into Viterbi Voices. My name is Paul Ledesma. I am the Director of Undergraduate Admission here at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering.
And my name is Audrey Roberts. I'm a senior studying mechanical engineering here at USC.
And we have another guest with us. Go ahead, mystery guest.
Hi, I'm Cameron. I'm a sophomore studying computer science business admin from Chicago.
Well, Cameron, welcome back to the podcast. Tell everybody about what episode you bring to us today.
Yeah, so thank you for glad to be back. And the episode we're bringing today is recording of one of our live chats. So this is a All Things Viterbi live chat looking for juniors. I think that's class of 2025. Wow, that feels really weird to say. But yeah, it's just episode
26.
26. Okay, man. So I'm trying to say that I'm younger than I am. Yeah. But yeah, so it's just a chat with everyone, lots of different people from different classes and majors, and just talking about the Viterbi experience.
Right. So you had a live chat for high school students that were mostly juniors in high school that were trying to figure out, what's this whole USC thing about, what's engineering about, what's college admission about. And you guys hosted a live chat with a lot of great people asking lots of questions. And I think it was a great insight into your lives as current students. And if you're out there and you're a high school student, you're thinking about engineering, you're thinking about computer science, you're thinking about USC, I think this is a great introduction to learn a little bit more about our current student lives, and also to hear some insight on some of the questions that were asked. Is there anything that they should look out for before they get into this episode?
Not really. I think it's a great way to just come in with an open mind. There's a lot of questions, again, like you said, about, if you're just interested in, what is engineering, you're getting your feet wet into. This is a great idea just to learn what that, it's like being a college engineering student.
Awesome. Well, let's get out of the way and get straight into the live chat. We'll see you all on the other side.
I would like to thank everyone and welcome you guys to the All Things Viterbi live chat. It's brought to you by us, real life engineering students who were in your shoes actually not too long ago. Before we move on to the rest of the live chat, I do want to thank our panelists for coming today. It's the middle of midterm season. We're nearing the end of the semester. And as you guys heard, everyone's busy and got assignments, but everyone wanted to take time out of their schedule and talk to you guys and answer your questions. So again, thank you to the panelists. So here's our agenda for the next hour. First things first, we're gonna kick it off by introducing our panelists in the evening to see who actually we're talking to, and everyone here is a current engineering student. Then we'll be answering your questions that you guys submit through the Q&A webinar feature, though I do ask you that right now you hold off on submitting your questions until we get to the Q&A portion of the event. It's probably obvious in the title, but today we're going to be discussing all things Viterbi. So literally any question regarding USC's life, extracurriculars of Viterbi life is completely fair game. If you are viewing this, since this is recorded from a live chat on YouTube or Spotify, SoundCloud, or anywhere else, don't worry, you guys can still get your questions answered. You can email us as thestudent@usc.edu. We may not be able to get to your email questions right now during this session, but one of us will definitely be sure to follow up with a response. And so again, hold off until submitting your questions through the Q&A feature until we get there. As a quick reminder, again, we are just students, so we're here to give you the student perspective of what it's like to be a Viterbi student and a USC student, and we really can't answer a lot of the admissions-related questions you guys may have. If you guys do have questions like that related to admission stuff, you can actually reach out to the admissions staff at viterbi.admission@usc.edu. At the end of the session, we'll go over a couple of things in the last few minutes on how you can get in touch with both the Viterbi admissions office, as well as how to stay in touch with us and some other resources that you may find to be useful to navigate during the application. So without further ado, let's actually get to introducing everyone. So I'll go ahead and start first. Hi, everyone. My name is Cameron. I'm the host for this evening. I'm a sophomore studying computer science and business admin. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. On campus, I've been involved in the USC National Society of Black Engineers chapter, where I serve on the executive board. the Global Investing Society, as well as I've had internships both in the oil industry at Chevron and big tech this upcoming summer at Microsoft.
Hi everyone, I'm Chris. I'm currently a junior studying civil engineering with an emphasis in building science. I'm from Woodland Hills, California, and with my involvements, I am the structural captain for the Earthquake Engineering Research Institute, and I was also co-captain for the design build team for the Construction Management Association of America. I'm also involved in Greek life in the Phi Delta Theta fraternity off campus, and I've also had internships. Last summer, I was able to work with one of the largest general contractors in the world, Turner Construction. And this current summer, I will be working at Kimley Horn, which is a civil design firm in their land development team.
Hello everyone, my name is Alina Kiocha. I am a junior studying chemical engineering with an emphasis in petroleum from Townsend, Delaware. On campus, I'm involved in USC's club field hockey team as well as club golf team. I am also one of USC's executive children events managers, which means I help put on in person all the big events that happen on campus. I'm also a member of NSBE, the National Society of Black Engineers, the American Institute of Chemical Engineers, and this summer I will be working at the California's largest energy provider, the California Resources Corporation, as a chemical engineer, and I am a member of the engineering organization Theta Tau.
Hi everyone, my name is Emily. I'm a sophomore studying electrical and computer engineering with a minor in cultural diplomacy. I'm from McLean, Virginia, and some of my on-campus involvements include being the director of outreach for USC Makers, which is a design project team at USC. I've done research at the Interaction Lab. I'm a teaching assistant for the Introduction to Embedded Systems course at USC, and I'm also a member of the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. Last summer, I had an internship at Raytheon, and this summer I'll be joining Microsoft as a hardware engineer.
Hey everyone, I'm Steven. I'm a junior studying mechanical engineering from Coto de Caza, California, or Orange County essentially. And I'm the president of 3D4E. It's essentially the 3D printing club at USC. I'm a member of the USC Serve team, and I've had internships in both supply chain and automation. And this upcoming summer, I'll have one in advanced manufacturing at Northrop Grumman. And I'm also part of the progressive degree program. So while taking my mechanical engineering classes, I'm taking master's courses as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Shannon. I'm currently a sophomore and I'm a double major in computer science and quantitative biology. I'm from San Diego, California. On campus, I am an executive board member and a project lead for the Center for Artificial Intelligence in Society. I also am the vice president of Corpus Callosum, which is an arts and tech polymathic lab that we run in conjunction with the Polymathic Academy. I am a member of the Viterbi Innovation Institute, where I have been running my own startup. And I've also had internships both in tech and biotech, and I've conducted a lot of computational biology research.
Thank you to our wonderful panelists. And now we're going to look at our moderators. So these are students who will be behind the scenes responding to some of the questions that you guys asked in the Q&A that we may not get answered by our live panelists. And we're going to go ahead and start with Gianna.
Hi guys, I'm Gianna. I'm a sophomore studying computer science and business admin, and I'm from Phoenix, Arizona.
Hey y'all, my name is Natalie. I am a second year student studying civil engineering with an emphasis in building science, and I'm from San Diego, California, but right now in LA near campus.
Hello everyone, sorry about my voice. My name is Olivia. I'm a junior studying environmental engineering, and I'm from the Bay Area, and I'm also currently in LA.
All right, so again, thank you to both our panelists and our moderators. Now it's time for the best part, for you to submit your questions. So if you are on the webinar, you can go down to the Q&A feature below. It should be at the bottom of the screen in the toolbar, and this is where you can ask questions. Again, if you're viewing this from YouTube or at a later date, email your questions at bstudent@usc.edu for questions at that date. But right now, again, time for you to submit your questions to the Q&A feature. Again, we want you guys to all know that we were in the exact same position you guys were now. So applying to college, a lot of us are second and third year students. We remember what that process was like. So and we understand that applying to colleges can be difficult and that you're looking for where the best fit is for you. So this is why this is the perfect time to ask us any questions you want about Viterbi, college, and USC to really get an understanding for what you think you should do. And we're here to give you honest questions and give our honest experiences. So I'll kick it off with a pretty easy one. For our panelists, a lot of you guys have a lot of different engineering interests, but how did you guys actually decide on what field of engineering you wanted to pursue? Was it something one time that it changed, or have you always known that you've been set on this major?
Yeah, I'll go first. So I actually started out at USC as a biomedical engineering major. I was super set on bioengineering through all of high school, and I got here and I realized that the program just wasn't for me. And I had some experience doing programming and coding just from high school and a little bit freshman year of college. And so I was like, the cool thing about computer science is that you can apply it to all kinds of different fields. So it still allowed me to do the biology research I wanted, but I also had more room to kind of move around within my major and the kind of subjects that I could study.
Yeah, going off of that, it's interesting. I was actually thinking about going into architecture, going into college, because I've always just been fascinated with buildings and, just kind of like the construction of them. And I realized that like architecture was more conceptual, was more about the design. And I was someone who's always more related to like math and science fields. And I was more interested in like actually understanding what made the building actually stand up structurally. So that's what kind of led to my decision to do civil engineering at USC. And what's cool is I'm in the building science program, which is a track where I also get to take architecture studio classes with my engineering courses. So I kind of just thought that was the perfect mix. And that's why I ended up choosing that.
From what I've enjoyed doing throughout my life, which is really just building things, I constantly have my own little side projects going on where I build things. And I feel like that applies a lot to what actually happens in the field. So I think that was the biggest reason why I chose mechanical engineering.
I know for me, I went to high school for engineering, so I knew that I was going to be an engineer because that's what I wanted to be. But for a specific type of engineer, I chose chemical because I was interested in essentially like bonds and molecules and how to blow things up safely, and I thought that chemistry would be the way to go because I really enjoyed that class in high school.
Yeah,
I love that.
For me in high school, I really just liked my math and physics classes. I didn't know I wanted to go into engineering. And then I looked at like the Viterbi undergrad handbook, or just like looked it up online and saw the courses that you would take as an electrical engineer. And they seemed really interesting to me. I just thought, oh, I like circuits. And then it ended up working out.
Very cool, very cool. For me, I was one of those people, I switched. I was mechanical engineering, but I had never taken a CS class before. I took one CS class, sort of CS-ish related, MATLAB. My Becky and other friends know about that. Interesting class. I really loved it. And now I'm CS and I'm business. And I honestly probably wouldn't go back. So I'm really glad that that happened for me. We're answering a question right now. This person asks, what is the workload like for engineering students? So what are the resources available for you? We need help with assignments or things like that to really get through passing your classes and doing your assignments.
I definitely think that, it is engineering, so I'm not going to lie, obviously engineering is a very difficult major, no matter which one you choose. And there will be points where, I definitely have struggled with classes in the past, and it's really important to reach out because USC offers a lot of resources. Like a lot of my civil engineering classes that I've struggled with, there have been office hours and there have been TAs that host kind of sessions where they kind of go over the lecture from class. And sometimes, they've done a really good job of kind of breaking it down from what the professor teaches and help a lot. So I think that USC definitely offers a lot of tutoring resources for not just engineering classes, but also even your general education classes and your math courses and your physics courses that you also have to take. So there's definitely a lot of resources that are available for USC.
Yeah, I'll piggybacking. I have a lot of friends who aren't in the engineering school, and I'm always the busy one. But it's not so much that you don't have time to go out and do things still. And I mean, obviously we're all very involved in different clubs and organizations. It's not like an immense workload where you're not going to have time to do anything else, but it is a lot of work. It is still engineering, and you have to take a lot of classes to really gain the knowledge that you need to be able to apply it to different problems in the future. But it's not anything crazy. And like Chris was saying, there are tons of resources, office hours, depending on what class you're taking. You'll have the professor and TA. For the computer science classes, you also have a thing called a course producer, where it's another undergrad student who's helping run the class because they were there last year, the semester before kind of thing. And there's also supplemental instruction, which is very similar to a course producer, where they're just another undergrad student who's there that did well in the class and wants to help out. So there are tons and tons of resources to make sure that you can pass your classes and do well.
Awesome. I have another question here. So this question is more so about the layout of Viterbi and USC in general. So it asks about how's the layout of Viterbi in relationship to campus, specifically are there any type of engineering dorms or there's engineering side of campus, and how does Viterbi fit into the USC community?
There's no engineering dorm per se, but there is a big corner of the campus, I think, that's devoted to engineering. It's called there's like one central grass area, and that's called the E-Quad. There's like various lab space and buildings that house a lot of the different engineering classes, but it's still pretty well integrated into campus. So you definitely don't feel isolated from other USC students, but you also have like that space that you need to really do engineering things well.
Yeah, I think kind of so that's like the one area where mainly a lot of labs are, and there are classrooms there. But you also have like classes in normal parts of USC campus. So there's like Tabor Hall, which is just like kind of central campus, and I had plenty of classes there. So you're not like stuck in the engineering area and you never leave that. You kind of go all over campus. So I think that's pretty cool.
In addition, I'm pretty sure someone told me that Viterbi has 20 plus buildings on campus. So even though like we make up about 13% of like students at USC, we have a large presence on campus.
Yeah, and then a lot of these labs too that people work at in Viterbi have students that aren't just Viterbi students. They'll have from mostly like Dorn Seif, the College of Letters, Arts, and Sciences, to work together with engineering students to tackle these problems.
Yeah, and then also just adding on for the kind of the freshman experience, you're usually placed in a residential dorm, and that's really just a way that helps you meet a lot of people. And most of the time, sometimes there'll be a lot of engineering students, but a lot of the times you meet a lot of non-engineering friends related in those, and then you'll meet a lot of engineering people within your classes. So I think that USC does a good job of kind of just like giving you a very diverse group of people that you meet on campus that's not just going to be stuck within the engineering major field.
And kind of with that too, actually, Lindsay and then both Carrie, they asked kind of similar questions. So they actually want to know like how easy is it, would you guys say, to make friends or study within groups in engineering school? And then not only with that, like how collaborative is it? Because I feel like those definitely really go hand in hand, like both meeting people and working together.
Yeah, it's definitely a super, super collaborative environment. I went to a very competitive high school where it was nothing like that kind of nature within the school. And so it was very refreshing coming here and being like, oh, day one of class, someone's like, here's a link to a group me. Let's all meet up and do homework together and study together. So it's super collaborative. There are a lot of people in my classes that I've just become really good friends with from meeting them in office hours and being like, hey, we can work on this together. And now we're good friends and we do other projects together in our free time and hang out. So it's definitely a more collaborative environment, and it's super easy to make friends because one of the main things that I've noticed about the engineering students at USC at least is that they all have that extra like engineering plus. They're all interested in something else and are a little bit more well-rounded and social than a lot of the stereotypes about engineering students. And so it's just a really good environment to be in.
Yeah, especially academically, you learn pretty early on that you need to work with other people if you want to do well. It's like, it's a pretty harsh, but like you need to form study groups or you're just not going to do all that well in the class, just because it's nice because your teachers will encourage you to work with other people, but it also happens really organically. Like I know as an electrical engineer, our major isn't huge. And for our freshman fall semester, you take like 4 EE classes with everyone in the same major. So you get really close really quickly, like we call ourselves the family EE, double E at the end there. And so you bond really quickly and you learn to work with other people just to kind of do well in the class.
Yeah, I definitely agree that even though not a lot of your work is going to be group projects, or at least maybe in civil specifically, it's not, but you kind of like need each other to definitely like get through it. And like in the real world, all engineering is usually done collaboratively and done in, teams of engineers. So you kind of learn to work together. Like I even remember that one time, like for one of my classes, we had a take home midterm. And I also think it helps that civil is a pretty small major, but there are about like 40 people in the class. And when we had like a 24-hour take home midterm, like 32 of us were all like crammed ourselves into the office hours room and collaboratively worked together, like over 30 people. So definitely like, I think that engineering, you kind of like Emily said, you kind of have to work together and you kind of form this bond with like the difficulty of your classes, more so than I would argue than most of the other like majors that you have at USC.
Definitely. And also to add on, I know that like just in waiting for office hours, I have had classmates teach me on a random whiteboard on the hallway, just like homework problems as well. And also it helps with your mental state to have people to study with, because sitting in your room doing homework can be very sad. But if you're doing it with like a group of 3 to 4 people, you can take like boba breaks, and you can like go out with them. Like this is our little study break, and then we come back And so that's why I find like just having friends within your major has been very helpful, keeping me sane.
Yeah, same. I wholeheartedly agree. And I think for something like, CS, people think it's really sort of this, you sit at your computer for 10 hours and you code, but there are midterms, there are group assignments, there are other things. And it's so refreshing when you ask your friend, like even the simple things like, hey, are you done? And they're like, no. And it's like, okay, so we're both not done, but we can feel better about it. Or like when the midterms next week's like, you want to just go over some stuff? And it's like, yeah, like that, like those little things about just, having other people to work with, to study with, to really see it. And, just the moral support, even if you can't we can't check each other's code and compare code, but the moral support of saying, hey, I'm here for you, just makes all the difference. So kind of pivoting to this, it was in the chat, someone asked about Greek life. And so I want to actually kind of broaden it a little bit. So someone asked about Liv specifically. They want to know, is it possible to join mainstream Greek life while simultaneously being an engineering major? But also something about just how reasonable is it to really balance both the extracurricular activities we have as well as our classes, since it seems like everyone here is really involved. So can you guys talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I can start, I guess, just because I'm involved in mainstream Greek life. But I think that something that you learn, especially your freshman year of college, is kind of understanding time management, because, you are thrown into a college atmosphere and you are an engineering student, and you do definitely learn how to manage your time really well. And I think that by doing that, you are able to join a lot of extracurriculars that are also outside of engineering too. Like a lot of people are involved in, sports clubs, or involved in other activities they have outside of engineering. And it's that could be Greek life, or it could be, like I said, sports teams, consulting clubs. And there's just so many opportunities to do different things. And because you kind of very early on learn how to manage your time well, you kind of start to broaden your horizons and add those other things under your belt, just so you kind of become a well-rounded person. Everyone, I think, that is involved at Viterbi is very interested in being kind of a well-rounded human being that does a lot of activities. So I think that you kind of pick up on that as you get throughout college.
Yeah, to add on, I live by my Google Calendar. If it's not in my calendar, I don't know about it, So it's just to keep myself accountable, set alarms, especially during COVID pandemic times. If you're just watching TV or doing homework, you can lose track of time pretty quickly. So I learned to set alarms when I wake up, of meetings I might have throughout the day, or just activities that I'm going to be doing.
Yeah, I think you really end up getting better at time management, and what you enjoy doing. So I enjoy surfing. I carve out 2 to 3 hours every morning to go surf. So I think it's you'll make time for the stuff you want to do. So if you want to get involved in Greek life, you'll make time for that. And I think that's kind of the thing you learn in college, is that although you do have classes and homework, it's not oh, every night I have 4 hours or 5 hours of homework to do after all my classes. It's more of okay, for me, I have no classes Tuesday. So Tuesdays, I just do a lot of homework. And then the other days, it's more of me doing classes and other activities.
Yeah. And following up with that, like you guys are saying, it's a big thing is just time management and being able to understand that you can't just study 24/7. Your professors know that. The school itself knows that. And so they're not going to assign you oh, these assignments are due every single day. Oh, I have one due Tuesday, one due Thursday. They're usually more long-term, hey, here's an assignment. You got 2 weeks to do it. Please do it. It should take a few hours, but you've got 2 weeks. You can carve out that time in your schedule. And especially for study groups and things, I know a lot of mine were hey, we're going to meet from this time to this time. And then that way we could all get our homework done together just in that time block, and then have fun afterwards and go do other things with our extracurriculars or just hang out.
Yeah, especially in college, a lot of extracurriculars are what you make of them, right? You can commit to, since a lot of the clubs and organizations know that everyone's really busy, you can get as involved as you want to. So you can, rise to the executive board or leadership position in these clubs, or you can just join as a general member and come to their meetings every once in a while and go to an event every once in a while. So it's really all what you make of it, and just knowing what you care about, because that's what you're going to end up wanting to focus your time, because you just will realize pretty quickly you don't have the time or the energy to do things that you don't want to be doing.
So another question we have, this kind of come up in the chat a little bit, has definitely related to internships. So a lot of people have had internships. A lot of people have brought it up. So just kind of in general, I guess a lot of people want to know how did you guys get your internship? So what was the process of getting the internship? going through? Did you find it through USC? Were there other things? And then also any tips if you guys have those sprinkles of knowledge. I know that everybody wants to know if you got a job, how to get one. So guys, kind of go for it with that.
I guess just like my experience with getting my first one last summer, that was like my first ever internship, and I worked for this general contractor called Turner Construction Company. And the way that I got it, and I think that this helps a lot of people, is actually through Viterbi design competitions. So they're really a great way to get experience, because usually when you do those competitions, they are problems that are kind of take the more conceptual concepts you learn in your classes and really apply them to how you would actually work as an engineer, like as a career, or like in the workforce. And by doing that competition, it was really cool. We bussed all the way to Reno, Nevada, and did it, like stayed in a hotel room for like 18 hours straight and like worked on this whole prompt. And the day after that, there was this huge career fair that basically had like every like civil engineering related company there. There were like 80 to 100 companies. It was massive. And through that, it was so easy to be exposed and to meet people, especially when you met like a USC person at one of the career fair booths. Their like eyes would just light up, and it was a great way to like the both like being part of the competition and like having like the Trojan family network and the connections to USC students or like post grads helped me a lot with getting my foot in the door and getting that first internship. And since getting that one, it's also been a lot easier to, you know, put my resume out there and talk to people, because once you have that first bit of experience, it's so much easier to get it. But then also just like the fact that I was able to do that design competition, and the only way I knew about it was because USC sent an email about it, showing me it. Just like USC offers a lot of opportunities to join like these competitions and have career fairs, and they're very focused on making sure that their students have full-time careers after college and that they can get internships while they're at school. So I think that definitely USC offers a lot of opportunities for that.
Yeah, there are all kinds of career fairs and things that they host. And I got my first internship after freshman year as well. But it was strange because like I went to a couple career fairs because my freshman engineering coaches were like, you guys should go experience what a career fair is like. And it's incredibly daunting as a freshman to be there with these upperclassmen who've already either had internships or done all these big projects, and you're like a freshman who just got here. So that was a little bit scary at first, but I just happened to notice a poster one day when I was walking out of my math office hours for a startup career fair. And it was one of those like, hey, it's a casual kind of thing, just stop by. It's not this like you have to get dressed up and come with your resume prepped and like an elevator pitch and all that. It was definitely more calm. And so I just showed up there. It was one of the events put on by actually one of the business organizations, which was interesting. And a lot of the startups that were there were founded by USC alumni. And so it was really cool just getting to network and be part of that Trojan family. And so I just talked to a bunch of people, and I actually just kind of hit it off with one of the recruiters that was there. And it was really interesting for me with my internship because I was hired as a biomedical engineer and ended up working for them as a software engineer because I'd switched majors a couple months after I had signed my offer. And so that was really cool. And then the following summer, this past year, I had been talking to some friends about which tech companies they like to work for, and really kind of not just applying everywhere to apply everywhere and get an internship, but you should really like do your research and figure out where you actually want to intern. And from there, you'll learn more about the companies, learn more what they're looking for, and that way you can kind of connect with recruiters a little bit better. And so, you know, you go to the interviews, and a lot of the times you just have to be very honest and to just say like, hey, I have only taken these classes, but by the time I work for you, I will have taken these, or I can learn this kind of thing, and be like very flexible with it. Yeah, and that's mainly what it is. But USC has all kinds of resources to prep for it. You can do mock technical interviews, you can do mock just general interviews, all sorts of things.
Yeah, going off of Shannon's point, as we've all been on this, but it's my I'm the director of outreach, which is for USC Makers, which is basically focused on getting career connections. So going through other extracurricular activities at USC is a great way to get an internship, because all the clubs and all the organizations, like whether it's a bigger organization like the Society for Hispanic Professional Engineers, which literally has major conferences that you can go to get jobs, but also even the local USC clubs all have their own relationships with external companies, whether it's through direct sponsorships or just conversational relationships or having events with those companies. And that's a really easy way to get a job. Like you can get a job immediately if you do that. And kind of like Chris, I got my first internship at a hackathon. I won an award in the hackathon, and that's what the internship was, like the prize for winning that award. So and that was a USC hackathon, and it was just complete coincidence. So there's so many ways to like find a job. It's everywhere.
Yeah, I would say in my experience, like using freshman year as a big like learning year, because you don't necessarily need an internship. Like I think that's kind of something that gets hammered. You need an internship like every single year of college. Like I ended up getting one, but it was just for like a smaller local company near me. It wasn't with a big company that you hear all over the world. But I used that freshman year where I attended, like we had like Trojan Talks, career fairs, specific companies would have special events that I would attend. So there's a lot of different things that I could kind of attend to kind of see what I like. And then sophomore year and junior year, I was able to really like have all these skills that I learned from talking to recruiters. And then that really allowed me to get my foot in the door to actually get interviews, and then from the interviews an actual internship.
Yeah, and similar to Stephen, like I think that a lot of times people think that their freshman year end all be all, that if you don't get this one job, you're not going to do it, and it's so much pressure. But it's definitely really casual. Like take advantage of the career fair. Really, take a chance to figure out, what is my elevator pitch? Who are you? But also like, where do you want to work? There's so many companies, but like, why do you want to work there? I know I went there, like I talked to a lot of companies, and I was a stuttering mess. I had no clue what was going on. I was all over the place. I ended up having to get a job. I ended up happening to get an internship, which means that you never know. You should always go and shoot your shot. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, but you should just go and, you can look at them, you can try, and it's always a good practice no matter what, because next time you're looking for another job, they may recognize you, you may just be prepared better in the future. So kind of taking a little bit of a change of pace here, I want to ask you guys, what was one of your or the favorite memory you guys had at USC? It can be the Viterbi campus, going out for just anything, like something, favorite moment, favorite experience.
I was just talking about this. I had a long car ride back to LA, and I think probably one of my favorite things was right after like a midterm or a final, like you would come out of it and all your friends from the major, like it was all like, whether it was good or bad, you'd come out of it. And then we'd always like drive somewhere and go out for dinner at like one of the various cool LA restaurants we have. I think that's probably like one of the things that I was just like reminiscing on recently.
Yeah, kind of going off of that reminded me of, I know this doesn't necessarily sound like a pleasant memory, but it's also a very memorable one. And I enjoyed it that like we had this really intense project that was due for my my architecture studio sophomore year. And there's like 11 of us in the building science program in my year, and 8 out of 11 of us probably stayed up until like 6 or 7 in the morning, kind of basically pulling an all-nighter and working on the project. And we ordered pizza at like 3 in the morning. And we just were kind of like, it probably wouldn't have taken us that long, but I think that we were all just kind of like getting closer and like hanging out half the time and actually working the other half of the time. But it's one of those memories where you look back and it's just kind of, it was actually a really fun experience despite the fact that we were staying up so late. So that's something that came to mind when you asked that.
Yeah, kind of similar to that. One of my favorites is thinking back to like hackathons and just like hanging out with friends for 36 straight hours. Well, like, yeah, you were working, yeah, you were networking, but a lot of the time it was just kind of like goofing around with each other and going out and getting dinner. And yeah, sleep deprivation definitely set in, but it was kind of like that. My first all-nighter, I remember, was at a hackathon, and like when the sun comes up and you're like, wow, it's 8 in the morning and I'm still not asleep. It kind of, it like sets in that like, like I wouldn't have stayed up till 8 a.m. today with anyone else. Like it's just being around other people and working with them and spending that time together, because even if you don't win anything, you still have the memories and the experience and the fun.
Yeah, hackathons are so much fun. I love hackathons. I'm the number one like proponent of hackathons. They're such a great time because my favorite part of a hackathon is that it's an excuse to be absolutely horrible to your body. Like you can just eat whatever you want, like no one's gonna judge you, you don't get any sleep, and it's perfectly acceptable. It's wonderful. But also like there's this feeling of being on campus at like 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., like when or at the dead of night and like no one's there, you've been working on things with your friends, and then you go like step out to get some air and go for a walk, and it's just really nice and quiet, and you can just like goof around, and that's probably one of my favorite memories of USC is like that post grind, like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. walking around campus and just messing around.
Oh yeah, definitely. I know that I have two, and one kind of goes along with everything you guys said. It was just all the times I spent in lounges, like in the village, because I lived in the village sophomore year. And I remember there were times that would bring blankets and would sleep in the physical lounge. And there's like glass, people can see you in the hallway sleeping in the lounge. And me and like my study group would just be there for like 24 hours straight, whether it was eating, watching TV, or doing homework. And then my second favorite like memory is just my job. So like I never participated in the hackathons, but as like children events manager, I used to work the hackathons. So like I would watch you guys code all night, and I also got to see a lot of cool shows and meet a lot of cool people through my job because USC is in LA. We're like the entertainment hub. And so a lot of good like entertainment things happen on campus. I got to meet Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Chelsea Clinton, so many people just through my job alone.
I just wanted to emphasize really quickly that we don't hold that many all-nighters in Viterbi. These are just our fondest memories just because they're fun experiences to look back on. But trust me, this isn't like all-nighters are not like a daily or weekly basis kind of thing.
Pulled a singular all-nighter in my life. Just that one.
Yeah, same. I haven't done any yet. No all-nighters at all for me.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood, whatever real wood I have in my house. For me, I'm definitely Emily the post grind work. You know, I skateboard. Yeah, it's great to skateboard. You should definitely have someone teach you how to skateboard. It's like a staple of the USC bucket list. But for me, I'm a big sports fan. This is a D1 school, which I kind of didn't think about until after I got. I was like, wow, it's a D1 school. Game days, football games, basketball games are great. I'm a huge basketball fan. Watching us beat the Bruins, UCLA, my freshman year, John Matthews, he sunk a clutch three-pointer at the end, and just having that place erupt, I almost fell over the seats because I was shouting out. I gave everyone foam fingers and free t-shirts. Just the atmosphere of like athletic competitions here is insane. You get into everything for free, like all the like you get into basketball, you get like the soccer, the like tennis, like beach volleyball. You get everything for free except for football, but it's great. Trust me, like it's lovely. If you like sports, like that was my favorite memory for sure.
And you get free gear.
Run right now.
Yeah. Have you guys ever gotten a T-shirt from the T-shirt cannon at a football game?
Yes, I got one.
And it was the most satisfying experience. Just like reaching your hand up and then grabbing it just instantly was just so satisfying.
There was a tall person in front of me, and I'm so mad about that. The sensitive cord, because I was like right there, like it was right there, and then a tall person just went like backwards too, like right in between my hands. It was just so disrespectful.
Probably something I do probably. No, I had to catch one for my friend at a basketball game because they give out like the basketball games are the best place to get the free merch. You get the foam finger. I have like 2 like workout towels. I have like 5 shirts, like free merch. The free merch is real. I don't know, man. That's like half my wardrobe now is free USC merch on campus. Kind of like sticking with the vibe a little bit. Like, how do you guys feel about like the vibe around off campus? I know like a lot of juniors and seniors at USC, and even some sophomores too, tend to live off campus, and you're not even required to live on campus at all. So like, how do you guys feel about campus? Do you guys think campus is safe? What is there to do around campus? Like, sort of that vibe. Like, how do you feel around the neighborhood and surrounding areas off campus?
I would say be smart. It's dangerous everywhere. It's like just at home, I wouldn't walk outside in the darkness at home, and I live in Delaware. So like in LA, I don't do the same things. Or if you're gonna be out in the like at 3 a.m. in the morning, go with friends. Like I have made some trips, and I live kind of far. I won't lie. I've made some trips in the dark, but it's just always wise to be aware of your surroundings and just know where you are and who you can contact.
Yeah, I'm actually living on like next to campus right now, and for the most part, most students live between like 5 to 10 minutes away from campus, some 15, but pretty much everyone's really close. It's not a huge distance. And then the village is also right here. So if you're on the north side of campus, the village is pretty close to wherever you are. But we also have this thing called Thrift, which is free lifts for USC students within a certain like radius around campus in the nearby area. So a lot of times if you have to do something at night and don't want to walk home, you can take that and it's just a free trip in a lift. And then also, like Elena was saying, I'm always like walking places with friends. It's just a safe thing to do, even if you're like on campus or not at college, just in general. So yeah, be smart about it, I'd say.
Yeah, there's also I was just adding on to that. I was going to say a similar thing. There's also a security guards that are around like a 2 mile radius around USC. We call them yellow jackets. And they definitely do make you feel safer around like the nighttime. And also I think that also with all of that, I think that the LA area is also just such a great place because like I feel like it's such like a cultural center. There's a lot of great food in the area. There's a lot of like diverse food and just culture. And I feel like it's a great place to be, especially if you're someone who hasn't been to LA. I feel like it's a great kind of, I would say that like I'm from around the area, so it wasn't, a big culture shock for me, but I know for a lot of people it's a big culture shock, and it was a great experience kind of being near a city and being exposed to that. So I think that they're like, yeah, obviously like you just have to be smart with your safety, but there's also just like a lot of precautions put in place to ensure everybody's safety around campus. There's also just like a lot of great opportunities to meet a lot of people and get exposed to a lot of really cool things.
I think another like cool thing about living off campus too, especially from someone I come from like living in suburbs, is just like everything's there. Like I could walk to like everything I need. The supermarket's close by. If I want to grab food real quick, I could go somewhere. There's gas stations. Like I think that's probably one of my favorite things because like back home I have to drive like 8 minutes to get to the nearest supermarket. So I think that's probably like one of the coolest things that I do enjoy about living off campus near USC.
Yeah, I second everything. I definitely feel like campus, there's like so many resources to help you be safe in the area. I really find campus to be pretty good, but obviously again, like, between like DPS, Yellow Jackets, Lyft, and Thrift, there's even scooters if you guys ride those, like going with friends. Like there's so many ways campus can really be fun. The neighborhood outside can also be really fun. Just stay smart, and it's, really can be kind of a good transitionary period between like being in college and graduation. And one question that I forgot to ask, so this is actually really good. A lot of times everyone thinks engineering students just take engineering classes, but what is one of your favorite non-engineering classes that you've taken? And if applicable, how has that class actually helped you with an engineering course to give you a different perspective on something, to give you a different way of thinking, or at the very least you see it pop like, oh wow, I heard about this one topic in this other class?
I'm a cultural diplomacy minor. So my favorite class that I've taken is actually a class I'm taking, or outside of Viterbi, that is a class I'm taking this semester, which is media and society. And it's just a really enlightening class. Like the class is basically 3 hours of like discussion, and then we hear from some really, really interesting guest speakers. We've heard from Kevin Cooper, who's a prisoner on death row, and he just really like broadens your perspective, as well as it tries to tie it back into kind of our impact, like as USC students, and like analyzing our privilege and our perspective and like what we can actually do about problems. Our professors is really, really cool. Like he's interviewed basically every president from the past like 60 years. He's 84 years old, and but he's like really sharp. I don't know how. I feel like if I was 84, I wouldn't be that sharp, but he's really there. And he's always finishes like the lecture with asking us what we're going to do about all of this, which is a lot. It's an intimidating question, but it's really helped me go back to like hackathons or project teams and think of real kind of solutions that I can make from like a technical side. And I'll hear a problem in class and be like, oh, I could make this to make that better for that person's life. And that's been really, really cool.
I think my favorite class, so I had an entrepreneurship minor. I just decided that I'd rather take like other classes than continuing the minor. But I took a feasibility analysis class, which was super cool. So it's just kind of like, let's say you have some idea of something you want to make, and it was kind of just running through like, first, like, would people want this product? And then if so, like, how are you going to make it? How much is it going to cost? Is this an actual feasible product that you can make? So I think that was like a super fun class where I got to learn a lot more about like business side of things. And that's something that's always interested me, but I'm able to do it as an engineer, which has been super cool.
I think that it's also like going back to my track in civil engineering with the building science and having to take like the architecture studios. It's been really cool because in my current junior one, it's actually a whole year-long project for like both semesters of my junior year. And it's basically designing a school that has a certain kind of prompt or reason why it exists. And mine is like an art school, and it's focused on like sustainable design. And I think that it's really cool to kind of take the more kind of design and conceptual aspect of engineering. Like, okay, I learn, you know, in my civil engineering classes, how the building actually stands up, like, you know, how the beams and columns align. But then in this class, I have to make sure that it can do that. But also we're designing the building and doing all like more the artistic and conceptual design, making sure it actually looks nice from the outside also. So I think that it's really interesting to kind of get both perspectives, kind of like understand like the inside and the outside of the building, and like how really like the concept of it being like from start to finish completely. And I think that that's just been really cool.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I know for me, my favorite class has nothing to do with my major at all. So like I took soccer, and because USC offers like sports classes, and so I took soccer, and so I remember it was during a rainy season, and I'd go to like my writing 150 class soaking wet because I refused to miss my soccer class, and I also took vocals just for fun.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. One of my favorites is like completely different from engineering. I took a class on Broadway musicals, actually, and it was super fun because we got to discuss both like how to do things for a musical from the acting perspective, and like I used to do theater in high school, so it was really interesting to actually talk to like a theater professor, but not just analyzing like, oh, here's like how the people are acting, but analyzing the effects that these musicals had on society and how they portray different types of things over the years, because we look back at musicals from like 1920 till the modern day, and that was super cool. Then also like how people can interpret how these different musicals can like affect modern life, and if they should still be performed, all that kind of stuff, along with like the acting aspect of it. And oddly enough, it did help me in some of my engineering classes because I do a lot of entrepreneurship and have my startup and everything. So I do work in like emotional audio processing. And so being able to have this like theater perspective of like, oh, here's how people make it evident that they're feeling X type of way. And then being able to kind of use that in my research. And then also using those acting tips here and there in some of my pitches to make my startup seem a little bit more interesting or more fun to people listening.
That's so cool. For me, my favorite one that wasn't really engineering, it was the GSEM, so the General Education Seminar. It was about the history of engineering in California. I know it was dry, yada, 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 not as good as everyone else, but I've been wanting to go to California since I was 12 years old. And to learn about why California was the way it was, and like understanding like what they had to do, why it has so much engineering prowess, and like what like the gold rush and the oil out here was very funny, because I learned about oil recovery and whatnot in that class and why it was so difficult in California. And then I turned around in my internship over the summer and I had to use that same, and I was like, oh yeah, that's what the professor just talked about, and now I'm doing part of it in my job. So I don't think it gets much more full circle than that. But yeah, the classes outside, they really make the experience. And also, Elena, I'm going to take the basketball class, hopefully, fingers crossed. I want the sports class, the PE class, and maybe the surfing one if they bring it back.
I've been trying to do sailing. Sailing sounds so much fun.
It's a super cool class.
We're gonna all do it, guys. I believe in this.
All of us will take sailing together when things are in person.
Next fall.
Let's do it. All right, guys. And so this is the final question. I feel like this is definitely a given. We talked so much about USC and our experience at USC, but we talked about what USC, how USC, but now why USC? So you guys, like, what was your why? What was your why USC?
For me, I really appreciated their flexibility with being able to take classes outside of engineering and being able to kind of switch majors if you needed to, which came in handy for me because I've switched majors twice. But they're very welcoming to having other interests and to not knowing what you want to do as soon as you graduate high school, which was a really, really big thing for me because I'm very indecisive as a person. Along with that, just their emphasis on doing things outside of engineering and not just being in class all the time and doing homework all the time. They really push you to join extracurriculars and to like maybe pick up a minor or take some fun elective classes that really can just make your college experience more enjoyable rather than just a necessity.
Yeah, I definitely think that a lot of joining college is partly kind of just a feeling. if that makes sense. I feel like even like to this day when I walk around USC campus, I feel like I made the right decision just because like I love walking around and looking at it and like saying hi to friends as I walk past them, and just like I feel like there's like such a great community there. And that's like it's the feeling, and then also like I said, the community. I feel like I'm still like insecure when I compare myself to all my friends, because I feel like the people that I've made friends with at USC are just like so cool. Like they're people that do so many like different things and like have such diverse like hobbies and interests. And I'm like how am I friends with this person? Like they're just like super cool. And a lot of like my first times doing a lot of activities I've been exposed to them through like the friends I've made at USC. And I feel like it's just an environment that really pushes you to become like a very well-rounded and like confident and social person that also works hard. So I feel like this like it's just such like a positive community to be around of, and that's what like I love USC, and that's why I came here.
Yeah, kind of going off of that, like when I chose USC because I wanted to be happy, right, and successful, but also happy. And when I was like looking at colleges, I'm trying to reflect back, some colleges will give you the impression that like that you're more of a number, or that they're not going to really like cater to your individual needs, or they're not going to view you as a well-rounded person. And as everyone's been mentioning, how USC and Viterbi really pushes you to be a person, right? They don't want you just shut down in the basement doing engineering for hours on end. They want you to be a real person, and they treat you like that, right? They're very honest, they're upfront, and it's also just like you're constantly pushed by the people around you to do better, but not in like a competitive way, in a very much like you just see other people being cool and you're like, oh, I want to be cool. I want to be well-rounded. I want to be happy and have fun. And that's what I picked up from Viterbi when I was looking from the outside in. And now that I'm here, I can say that that was definitely the right decision.
I think for me, it was a lot of I don't know, like the atmosphere and vibe I got when I went onto campus. And I remember like I got to meet people that are like us right now when I went on campus, and just like talking to them, and then walking around and just seeing everyone like chatting, and it didn't feel like stressful. Like I went to other campuses and I felt like it felt stressful, but when I was around USC, it was like people are actually enjoying themselves. You'll go out and you'll see people hammocking around campus, and I don't know, it's just like there's a lot more to college than just classes, and that's what I saw at USC, and I was like, I want that to be my college experience. So I think that was like the biggest reason why I chose Viterbi and USC.
To kind of add on to what everyone else has been saying, I know for me, I actually committed to a whole nother college before even like going to USC. And so when I first like stepped foot on USC's campus, I was like, should I even consider it? Because I already know where I'm going. Like my whole life was changed quite literally. Like I had never bought gear from any college other than the ones that they give for free. And so I came on USC and I explored it for like, I think it was Explore USC for like admitted students. And I explored it, and I realized like this is where I felt the most at home. And I'm all the way from the East Coast. I've never been to California before. And just being on USC's campus, it made me feel at home immediately. And even my parents, when they first stepped in the village, they were like, I want you to go here. And I was like, I need to find like my way out first, you know, kind of feel it out. And so when I first stepped on campus, I met with students, and like I think I met with one of the previous VSAs. She graduated approximately 2 years ago, and she was the same major as I was, and she just kind of like told me what happens to the major and how she got her internship and just how nice everybody was. And I knew that I didn't want to be stressed. Like I didn't want to be stressed out. So like going with what Emily said, because being an engineer can be stressful, and USC is like the perfect environment to kind of be the best that you can be, optimized while also being as happy as you can be, which is what I realized when I visited campus, which is why I ended up uncommitting from my previous school and committing to USC.
Yeah, you guys have pretty much described my reason, at least, in there. So in sum, I feel like USC, Viterbi specifically, they always hammer this image of more than an engineer. That's what I've heard. That's what I was told. And honestly, that's what I think I'm living up with. A lot of like engineering, I do believe, like personally, philosophy is a philosophy, it's a lifestyle, but you can do more than just be an engineer. And that's what I wanted to do. When I came to college, I knew that this was going to be my major, no matter what type of major it was, what type of engineering, this is what I wanted to do. But there's so much more to college, to life than just engineering. I feel like being a Viterbi student, I've been able to explore that part of me, explore that part of college, and it's just made everything so much more enjoyable. I don't think I could have gotten that anywhere else personally. And so with that, that was the last question. So I really hope that all of you guys enjoyed the live chat and gained some insight on what it's like to be an engineering student at USC Viterbi. So now we'd love for you guys to stay connected with us, and a perfect way to connect with the Viterbi admissions office is through one of the information sessions. These are great ways to learn more about the application process. So if you're interested, you can register at viterbiadmission.usc.edu/visit. And there are a couple more admission sessions that you can actually take and register for. So this is a great time to take a picture of the screen so you guys have this information for later, both the Viterbi admission link as well as their email address and phone number if you guys can call and have any questions. So also I want to take a quick moment to shout out a couple of amazing resources you guys can have for students. So here you can check out the Viterbi student website. So this is viterbivoices.usc.edu. So this is a great place because this is where Viterbi students blogs. You can hear blogs from anyone and everybody about what you're doing at USC. So you can look at stuff for majors, you can look at trips, study abroad, internships, virtually any of the other stories you can about USC students. You can also go to the viterbiundergrad.usc.edu link on the left side of the screen to learn more about just Viterbi undergrad in general. And you can even explore our campus. So the Viterbi admission general link, you can actually take a virtual tour of campus. I highly recommend it. I think campus is beautiful. It's like eye candy. I highly recommend it to everyone. And lastly, we're going to talk about staying connected with us. So staying connected with us, the Viterbi students. So we want you guys to follow us on all of our social media channels. Shameless plug, but it's okay. So we have the Viterbi Voices podcast on wherever you get your podcasts, both Spotify and SoundCloud is there, as well as our social channels. So we have a Viterbi student Twitter, Viterbi student Instagram, Viterbi student YouTube, and then our newly remade Viterbi Voice TikTok. Yes, we're on TikTok. It's great. I highly recommend it. Some of the stuff is pretty funny. I have a cameo or two, shameless plug. But if you also would like to learn more about what it's like as an engineering student outside of what we post on there, you can actually email your questions to us. And again, you can email them at the email thestudent@usc.edu. And also you can email this if you have a question that wasn't answered here or something that comes after the fact, because let's just be honest, in the moment, we can't think of a question, but like 2 days later or late at night or in the shower, you're like, man, I wish I would ask that. Well, now you have a place to answer for it. So thank you guys again for tuning in tonight. I wish you all good luck in your process and starting the application season that will come after the summer. And again, I want everybody to stay safe. And as always, fight on.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Cameron, for taking on this live chat. It sounds like a really great conversation. And like we discussed at the beginning, these are a great way to sort of get the student perspective on what's it actually like to be an engineering student, which is sometimes I think harder to get from like a website or something like that. So
totally. There's so many websites, there's so many magazines, there's so many Reddit boards. Like what's it like? Cameron, what was your favorite question that we got on this live chat?
Yeah, one of the questions I really enjoyed was definitely about like, what did you, your favorite class outside of engineering? I think that because I too was scrolling through the Reddit boards, I really just read everything. And a lot of times I forget that I'm just also a college student. I do other things outside of engineering. And so kind of listening to what everyone talked about and how people take all these different classes and what they're interested in, that was really cool because it kind of gives you that insight of, what else do you like to do besides coding or CAD or building bridges?
What were, between the two of you, Audrey and Cameron, do you remember being a high school junior getting ready for the college application process? What were you most thinking about in that process?
totally. I feel like I remember the stress, but I'm so far removed from it at this point as a senior now. Like even when we were talking about class of 2026, I'm like, oh my gosh. But I think the things I was thinking about was definitely kind of even just what Cameron was mentioning, kind of I knew I wanted to study engineering for the most part. But I still do have a lot of other interests. So it was really important to me that I could pursue those as well. So I think kind of one interesting way to do that is even just looking at course catalogs, seeing what's offered. That was always like super exciting to me. And I think sometimes with engineering, you don't even know what the things are, but they sound so cool. And then I think, resources like this are awesome too, to sort of see what students are actually doing. Because I think one thing that I've experienced in college is there's so many opportunities, there's so many things to do, especially at USC. So, kind of the areas you follow through are sometimes different than the intentions coming in, which is totally okay. So yeah, roundabout answer, but I think the things the one thing I was thinking about the most was how I could succeed in engineering, but also do other things too.
Yeah. Cameron?
Yeah, I had a similar vibe. I knew that I really wanted to do engineering, and I was I was really focused on trying to show like, oh, I had all this experience doing engineering related things, which I think you're trying to say, oh, I'm the best candidate, which, is really, very hard. That's like impossible to do. But another thing I was really focused on was trying to show some personality in the application. That's why I like the little responses of, what's your favorite, like what's your favorite song? What's your snack? Talk about like the essay. I think it's like, what do you like doing outside of engineering or passion? Questions like those, I really was trying to show my personality, because I think that so many people are also involved in engineering, but it's just like, who are you as a person? That really matters a lot, and that really shapes the college experience, like as an engineer, but also just as a person. And so really showing those personality characteristics was something I focused on. And I struggled with it, but I took a long time to get there in order to get the application done. But that was something I was really looking at.
Well, I appreciate you both talking through this and letting all of our listeners out there that are in high school know that, this is a process, and everybody feels the stress and everybody has the questions, but that you guys as current students are here to help answer those resources. And we are here too. I think that a lot of people think that they're not allowed to ask us questions. They're not allowed to talk to us. And our whole job here is to help you understand our process, and more specifically, help you understand our admission process. And one of the easiest way to do that is that if you are a high school junior right now or younger, maybe sophomore, let's not go younger than sophomore. It's probably a little too early to think about it. But if you're a junior or sophomore and you want to sit in on a talk where we can talk to you about the admission process, that we're doing these almost about 2 times a week, usually Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can go to our website, viterbiadmission.usc.edu, click on the visit link, or just go to viterbiadmission.usc.edu/visit and check out one of our first year admission information sessions. Usually we have students with us, and they're helping to answer those perspective questions. We're talking about the application process. We're talking about the School of Engineering. We're walking through what it's going to be like as an engineering or computer science student at the Viterbi School. And what we find out from our feedback forums is that people come in very nervous with lots of questions, and they leave feeling much more comfortable with the process and understanding how they're going to go about it. And I think one of the benefits of this, work from home virtual environment is that we have all these open sessions for people to you don't need to travel to USC to learn more about us. You don't need to sit on a phone call with us. You can go to the Zoom call, and we'll chat with you, and we'll do all sorts of cool things. So it's a great opportunity for you guys to do that. viterbiadmission.usc.edu/visit. Check it out. We got lots of them coming up, and you can schedule it for whenever you like. So other than that, let's get out of the way, and we will see you all next week.